Welcome WCC fans to Inside the WCC. With us today is Aaron Fitt, National College Baseball writer for Baseball America. Welcome Aaron, and thanks for joining us today.
Hey, it's my pleasure.
Well, let's get right into it. Obviously, the big games this weekend in our conference is the WCC Baseball Championship Series, with Gonzaga, the regular season champions, hosting Loyola Marymount in a best-of-3 series. Right off the bat, who do you like and why?
Well, I think it could go either way. I mean, these two teams played a good series to close the regular season, and Gonzaga won 2 out of 3, and I like Gonzaga again this weekend. It's hard to win back-to-back series against the same team, and Loyola Marymount certainly is talented enough to win this thing, but you got to take the home team. I think Gonzaga's been the best team in this league all year long. I like their pitching a little bit better. I think Gonzaga stacked up pretty well here.
Like you mentioned, it was a tight series, and this is a rematch of last weekend's regular season finale. Last weekend, all 3 games were extremely close, with 2 runs or less separating all 3 games. What are the keys for Loyola Marymount to win this series, and what are the keys for Gonzaga to win this series?
Well, certainly, I think the key for both teams is to get off to a good start on Friday with Matt Fields against Lee Roberts. I mean, both teams really rely on these 2 guys to get them going in the right direction. I think in Gonzaga's case, they probably got a little bit more pitching depth in case they don't win that opener. I think they're more positioned to come back and win the series. I think if Loyola loses on the first game, I think they're probably in a lot of trouble. But then again, I mean, LMU, give them credit the way they battled this year. This team was down in the dumps early on out of the gate, and they really rallied, put themselves, right at the top of the conference, and it's impressive. That's one of the things I like a lot about the Lions is just how competitive they are, how well coached they are. So even if they do lose the first game, I'm not going to count them out completely. But I do think it's more important for Loyola Marymount to win the first game than it is for Gonzaga.
Now, talk a little bit about the job that Coach Jason Gill at Loyola Marymount has done. Obviously, this is his first year. They were picked 6th in the WCC preseason poll, and to be in a position to potentially get the WCC automatic bid speaks volumes about what he's been able to do in his first year. Can you talk a little bit about his first year at LMU?
I knew Jason Gill was a great hire. He's really one of the best. He was one of the best recruiters and assistant coaches on the West Coast. I mean, he had a lot to do with Cal State Fullerton's success over the years, and he put together a strong class up at Oregon his first year. He can coach hitting, and I think he showed that this year. I mean, he's got, that Loyola team has got a couple of really talented guys, especially Angelo Donko and Ryan Wheeler. That's a great nucleus. I thought they could be dangerous. I just didn't think they had enough depth on the roster to be as good as they are. But Jason Gill has gotten the most out of everybody on that roster. I think I've heard his lineup described as you got 2 big guys in the middle, and then you got a bunch of guys who are like flies at a picnic. They're just relentless. And that's, I think a lot of that has to do with coaching. So certainly, that coaching staff has maximized their talent to be in a position where they are after starting so poorly. That means that not only can you coach fundamentals, but you can motivate players through adversity.
Now, switching gears a bit, we just announced our all-conference and yearly awards today. St. Mary's standout freshman Troy Channing was just named the WCC Freshman of the Year and selected to the All-WCC First Team. Obviously, he's had a monster season. He's led all freshmen in the nation in home runs and RBIs. Is he a leading candidate for the National Freshman of the Year honors, and what about All-American honors?
Yeah, he's certainly one of the very, very top finalists for National Freshman of the Year. For me, it's him and Anthony Rendon from Rice, and maybe third on the list would be Danny Holston from Virginia. And I don't know who kind of is the tops in that group. I mean, Rendon won Conference USA Player of the Year. It had a lot to do with the success for a top 10 team, but he might have a little bit of an inside track. But boy, I love the season Troy Channing had. To put up the kind of power numbers he put up in the West Coast Conference is really hard. I mean, clearly it's a pitcher's league. You don't see a lot of big power numbers in that league. So that stands out to me. He's a big, physical kid, and he's only going to get better. It's pretty remarkable.
Now let's get back to Gonzaga. The season that they've enjoyed, it's just incredible. They put 33 wins together. They won the WCC regular season title, posted a 4-4 record against RPI Top 50, 10-7 record against RPI Top 100. In your opinion, win or lose the championship series, have the Zags done enough to earn a regional bid?
I think they have. Certainly, if I were filling out a field, they would definitely be in. Now, do I think the committee will put them in as an at-large team if they lose this weekend? I do. I don't think it's 100%. Like I said, I think they deserve it 100% because they've played a tough non-conference schedule, and they've won some big games out of the league, and of course winning the league in the regular season. So I do think that the fact that they challenged themselves in the non-conference schedule will win the committee over. I mean, they really did. Open some eyes, I think, early on, and playing some teams like Texas Tech and Oregon State, of course, like they play every year. I mean, I think they're in pretty good shape for an at-large bid.
And lastly, taking a look at one of the teams that may be one of the most interesting time for selection is San Diego. Obviously, they've sustained several key injuries this year, arguably more than any team in the country. But looking at their overall resume, it's pretty strong. Top 25 strength of schedule, an RPI that currently stands at 50 right now in the latest Boyd's World RPI rankings, and 4 wins against teams in the top RPI top 25. Depending on how things go around the country in the final weekend of the season, where do you think the Toreros stand in the postseason picture?
I think they do have a chance if Gonzaga wins this week. I think if Loyola Marymount wins, and then Gonzaga gets the at-large bid, and I don't think the conference is going to get free this year. But if Loyola Marymount loses, they're probably not going to get an at-large bid. The RPI isn't there. San Diego has a much better shot at it. And there aren't a lot of great teams out west this year. I think it's in general a bad year for the West Coast. The Pac-10 is way down, and there are not a lot of teams out there to step into that vacuum. So I think that could really benefit San Diego. If you look at all the bubble teams out there right now, they've got their resume stacks up pretty well with most of them. They've got a 7-10 record, I think, against the top 50 RPI teams. There aren't a lot of other bubble teams that are in that neighborhood. So, I think they got a chance. I would have liked to have seen them finish stronger. They, of course, were just ravaged by injuries this year, worse than any team in the nation by far. And the fact that they're going to get Kyle Blair back if they make a regional, they might get Kevin Muno back, they might get Stephen Chatwood back. The committee will be made aware of those things, and might give them the benefit of the doubt. So they at least have a chance. Right now, I'd say, first of all, it depends on this weekend, and after that, it's probably a coin toss.
Well, thank you, Aaron, for joining us today. We appreciate you taking the time to sit down and talk with us.
Yeah, anytime.
For additional NCAA baseball coverage from Aaron Fitt, log on to baseballamerica.com/today/college. That does it for this edition of Inside the WCC. Fans, log on to WCCsports.com for your latest news, videos, podcasts, and exclusive merchandise.